Okay, we'll get started. So, welcome to the New South Wales Family Daycare Association PD in Your Pocket series on personal safety and consent in family daycare. My name is Kristy Pereira, and I'll be your facilitator for the evening. We have about 40 slides to get through tonight, and you should have already received or will have access to the workbook, which is another 27 pages of jam-packed information and links to keep you going following the session. So strap in and put any questions down, anything that we don't cover off tonight. I will work with Nikki and we'll come back to assuring that we've answered all of your questions and everything that you want to know out of tonight. So thank you, and let's get started. Firstly, we'll do an acknowledgement to country. So before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country in which we meet today. I know that many of you from different lands and with many traditional owners, but I'm currently presenting today from the land of the Jurag people. And I would like to acknowledge them and recognise their continuing connection to the land, the waters, and the culture. I would like to pay my respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. And I acknowledge that the Aboriginal families have cared and educated for children on this land for tens and thousands of years. Thank you. So we have a booklet cover image here, which is session 47, personal safety and consent in family daycare. And you've got that URL link there with this PD in Your Pocket session, as you're well aware, is a free PD for family daycare, and it's funded by the New South Wales Family Daycare Association in partnership with Peak Training. This information, tonight's presentation will actually give you an accompanying booklet that'll be sent to you, and it will be available alongside the recording for this session on the association's website. At the link on your screen that you're listening to, there's also a podcast link. A survey will also be sent to you after the live session. So I would appreciate your feedback if you're able to give some insight and some feedback for tonight's session, and your professional that way we'll be able to continue, or New South Wales Family Daycare will be able to continue to provide, with high quality professional development training for free. So thank you everyone as well that completed that training session surveys from last month's PD in Your Pocket. Certificates will only be issued to you if you're attending this session live, and you will receive them within 1 week from the live session's date. So a week from today. And they will include your name that you've registered with. Please note that there are over 1,000 participants in the session or registered in most sessions. There will be no amendments to the name. So please ensure that when you've registered that your name is correct. Please also check your junk mail, as sometimes these certificates go to your junk mail. So if you would like to double check that, the email address is info@peaktraining.edu.au. So please keep an eye out for that in about a week's time to ensure it hasn't gone to your junk. Okay. So tonight what we'll be covering is a couple of things. So firstly, how to have meaningful and everyday conversations with children about body consent and body boundaries. Also, how to support children and recognise and name their feelings. And some other strategies to empower children to speak up when something just doesn't feel right. So we will also look at how to actively include children in programming and planning to reflect their ideas, their needs and interests. So I know that it seems like a lot of information, but in a nutshell, it's probably everything that you're already doing. So tonight, hopefully, is just a little fresh reminder and just refreshing some of your skills if you're not quite polished or not quite confident in delivering some of this information to children. So just be mindful. It's probably something that you're already doing anyway and doing quite well. So let's just continue that. So as well as the information provided tonight, throughout the slides, I'll be referencing some images and some links for resources. So there's loads of tools and resources. So if one of your barriers is not knowing how to get started and not knowing where to access the right tools and resources and how to get going, I'm going to help you with that tonight. So in terms of some housekeeping for tonight's live session, I'll be encouraging you to use the live chat function to communicate with each other. I have been told that you work really well together and you are a supportive community, so that's fantastic. You may answer some of each other's questions, which is amazing. You can also use the Q&A function as well. However, I am joined with Ethan. He's a member of the association. He will assist with any technical support that you might need. But if anything else fails, try leaving the webinar and rejoining if you are having technical issues. If you're unable to hear me or you have a glitch in your slides, please leave and come back. Ethan might be able to help you if you reach out to him. It will be a little bit difficult to answer people's questions, so please have the chat going. You can all interact and communicate through that, and I'll just keep going ahead with my slides. So here we go. First of all, you may remember that we did ask you some questions around the time when you registered for this session. This is what we've learnt from you. So we're going to take a look at the data and have a bit of a deep dive into that. And the next few slides will show you some pie charts that would like to share with you on the questions that were asked. So the first one was, how confident do you currently feel in supporting children's personal safety, body autonomy and consent? So you can see there from the graph in red, more than half of you actually feel very confident in this. And then somewhat confident is 41%. And the absolute minority of you either feel not very confident or not confident at all, which is fantastic. You're all doing a great job and very confident at what you're doing, and I'm sure you're doing it great. So let's have a look at all of that tonight. It's terrific data to be seeing on this particular topic at this current time. So well done. The next question we asked you was, how often do you intentionally discuss feelings, safety or body boundaries with children at your service? And again, daily was 41% of you are currently intentionally discussing feelings, safety or body boundaries with the children in your service. 31% of you occasionally do, and 26% of you do this weekly, and only 2% of you rarely do it, and only less than 1% of you never do. So let's hope that after tonight you have all the confidence and you go out there and we can flip that 41 to 100%. I have no doubt that you'll be able to end this session and go out a lot more confidently and be talking about this every day with children. Are you confident reporting an alleged child protection issue that may arise? No surprise at all. We've got an astonishing massive 94% of you are confident reporting any alleged child protection issues that may arise, and only 6% of you are not. So that's a fantastic result. Again, by the end of this evening, however, not really touching on this topic, but we will know who the 6% were, and we can reach out and give some more information on what to do in this scenario. So when we say reporting a child protection issue, obviously any sort of a disclosure from a child or talking about child safety, if that topic comes up and something was to come to light, 94% of you here tonight actually would know what to do. So that's fantastic. And yeah, glad we've got you in services educating children. So that's it with the data. So we'll get started, and we have just a little snapshot here. It's almost like a bit of a brain dump, having a look at Just to kick off, when we think about safety, and there's so many elements of safety in regards to how we look at safety and protecting a child in your care and in your service. So personal safety shouldn't be overwhelming. It shouldn't be overthought, or you shouldn't be overthinking what that actually means, because you think of protecting child safety from a supervision perspective all the time, thinking of your physical environment, doing activities and having resources for intentional teaching on road safety or water safety. So those things are already happening in your service, and without even realizing, you are probably already protecting their personal safety. So tonight we're just going to talk a little bit more about what does personal safety look like. We're actually talking about the child, making sure that they're actually safe, almost from a child protection, protective behaviors almost attribute, to make sure that the child is safe within themselves. They understand their body, their feelings, and we'll talk through very simple key messages and ways that we can do that with children. But as a snapshot, like I said, there's so many different types of safety, and in your everyday environment, just by compliance and just by making sure that your environment is set up and that you're a complying service, you're already making sure that safety is at the forefront. So we're just adding personal safety to the front of mind here. Okay, so we're always already embedding child safe standards and principles into your everyday practices, into your policies and procedures. It's embedded through the National Quality Framework based on the standards. So there's just a little quick snapshot there just to remind you again, it doesn't need to be, we don't need to overthink what personal safety is, because it's already there. It's in the blueprint of what we should be doing anyway. So we're fortunate enough that we are governed, and we do have some very stringent processes and policies, and we will talk about a couple of little changes that are happening in this regard, with the current topic at front of mind, and as I mentioned in my welcome message, in the media of today's current affairs. So for those of you that aren't aware, from 1st of September 2025, there's some new child safety requirements changing. So what is changing? There's some information here where from the 1st of September that we've got some key changes happening. So to get this information, you can go to the national regulations that are coming into effect from the 1st of September, and there's a downloadable link for new child safety requirements. There's a couple of regulations, particularly affecting Regulation 168, 176, and 82. So you can have a quick look there. So one of them being around policies and procedures in regards to the safe use of digital technologies and online environments. So the education learning platforms that you're using. So there's going to be some policy around that, and some changes, notification time changes for allegations and incidents of physical and sexual abuse will be reducing from 7 days to 24 hours. And then services to ensure environments are free from use of vaping and substances and devices in services as well. So there'll also be refinements from January 2026 with the national quality standards, particularly referenced within quality areas 2 and 7. So just watch this space. And ASEQA resources that are coming out to support you in this regard. If you have a look online, you'll be able to see the resources that have been developed to support you to prepare for the 1st of September regulatory changes, including the National Quality Framework Child Safe Standards, and a self-assessment and risk assessment tools and information that's available. And there's an online safety guide. So check that out, and that might help you prepare for the changes that are coming around very quickly. So in just over a month. Okay, so we've got here, there is a link to purchase on the Early Childhood Australia website. They act for safety, evidence-based programs with coaching to empower children and to empower educators to integrate safety topics in play-based learning. So fantastic resource for educators in regards to the Early Years Safety Threads program and how it's been designed to build the sector confidence in teaching content. That is often thought as being difficult, but like I said, you're probably already doing it. And when we get to slide 40 and the session's over tonight, you'll be like, wow, is that all it is? So those of you that weren't so confident prior to registration and prior to tonight's session, you'll actually hopefully end the session going, wow, this is amazing. I feel a lot more confident now. It's what I'm already doing anyway. So those statistics I'm sure will change if there was a resurvey after tonight. This resource available, Learn to be a Safe Early Years service from ECA is $72 for that resource there for Acting for Kids. There's also child safe organisations. They also have downloadable links. They provide tools and resources, as well as 11 e-learning modules that you can do, and they're all for free. So feel free to complete them. They take approximately 20 minutes each, and you can also subscribe on their website for a newsletter. So again, once you get the workbook, you'll be able to reference all these websites, all the free training and resources available to you to hopefully build your confidence and just keep that momentum with having subscribed to newsletters and always getting up-to-date information at your fingertips. This website also has information on disclosure tools and resources available. So disclosure is a big one. So as this becomes more apparent, talking in services with children about personal safety and consent, things may come out and a disclosure may happen with a child. So it's knowing what to do when that happens, how to react and how to stay calm, as well as reporting, but it's how you hold yourself in that situation and making sure you have the right support should that ever occur. Tonight we'll be talking about recognizing feelings and for children to recognize their feelings. So we call those early warning signs, and it's our body's way of saying that something doesn't feel safe. They include potentially things like butterflies in your tummy or sweaty palms, a pounding heart. So some of you that might be a little bit nervous, for instance, don't like public speaking, you might get some warning signs or a funny tummy or, a bit of a fast heart rate. They're warning signs as well about your body as an adult. We encounter these, internal feelings as well. There's good warning signs and there's bad warning signs. So what we need to do as educators is teach the children what the difference is, how to recognize what those feelings are and what to do about them, what's good, what's bad. So when it's fun and we've got some great early warning signs, we're outside and we're playing and we're doing some risky play, children might feel, that adrenaline rush and that's great, but that's fun early warning signs. So they're the sort of situations that we can be talking about here. We need to know, when is it fun to feel scared? For example, watching a scary movie or, maybe someone playing, an older sibling or a cousin playing, boo and scaring you in the dark or something like that. That's, maybe not so fun, but, and not so safe, but it is safe compared to what we're talking about here when it comes to personal safety. So the personal safety of wobbly knees and wanting to be sick in the stomach, they're the scary ones because something inside is telling us that I don't feel safe. When it's not fun and things are outside of our choice of control, It could be something for a child like going to a dentist or getting a needle. So again, they might encounter those internal feelings of this is not fun and it's outside of my control, but generally it's either supervised or it's guided by an adult, and it's okay to do so. But when it's not fun and it's outside of their choice and control, we call that a personal emergency. And a personal emergency with those internal early warning signs, such as the butterflies, the sweaty palms, the feeling scared, heartbeat going really fast, they could be situations where potentially a child could be getting bullied, they could be getting isolated. This can happen at a young age. It can happen in a service. So we need to make sure that obviously when you're doing your active supervision, you're noticing these things, you're noticing what's going on with children in the environment that you're in. It could also be a child feeling lost for a moment, or even being abused. So there, when we have the not so fun early warning signs and there's no choice or control, and we're calling that a personal emergency. And these are the key messages that we have to get across to children. And it's important for children to recognize what their body's telling them. They don't need to feel, they should be feeling safe all the time. And they are the messages that we need to send to children. So understanding what's good and what's bad in terms of these feelings, and when to speak up and when to speak to somebody. So there's a lot of activities as well that you can be doing with children to understand what these early warning signs are. Obviously, looking at that poster straight away there, you can create your own posters. You can be doing so many activities and research topics to talk about these feelings and how it relates to the body. I've seen sketching and drawings where almost like that halo outline of the body there is a child laying down, and you trace their body on butcher's paper, and then you can have those discussions. You can do them in small groups, you can do them in large groups, you can do them on one-on-ones. So talking about what it is, talking about the body, whether it be a butcher's paper up on a fence or a wall or smaller on an easel, and you can do it as a felt story, but where you can actually mark out, get the co-contributions from the children when you're asking them and having conversations about what are the early warning signs and noting it down. Do I get sweaty? Okay, let's draw something. What's happening up here? Are my hands getting sweaty? Are they getting shaky? What's happening to my body? Let's draw it on this diagram. It's our way. So what we need to send to the children, that message of early warning signs, are our body's way of telling us that we don't feel safe. So all of those things that I said, the butterflies in the tummy, the sweaty palms, the pounding heart, the wobbly knees, feeling sick, and so on, we can experience these at different times. So we just need to make sure that children know, and it's good to have their input, because how they're describing something might not be how we would describe it. So a child might describe, the stomach feeling as, as if someone's pulling their stomach out or punching them in the stomach. But whatever that feeling is, it's a descriptive word or terminology around that actual feeling. And that's what we need them to associate with. This is my body. This is me. This is it being visualized. And this is what we're saying is happening. So, and they'll be learning off their peers as well when you're doing these activities, which is great if they aren't aware. And I think it's important that the message here is you are a trusted adult, and so are parents or whoever they have as trusted adults. And we'll talk about that as well, who are trusted adults and what is our support network for us, for them, and what does that look like and how do we try and promote that. So we'll get to that as well. But the children need to know that when these early warning signs are happening and you don't feel like you're in control, then that's a really good time to to then go, okay, I think I need to talk to an adult about how I'm feeling because I don't feel safe, and putting that connection there. So Kids Helpline have, this is just an example of 2 posters that you could print, download. There's so many examples online of early warning signs, and ones that children can relate to due to the visuals, as well as the words and the diagrams that are available. But they have great posters in varying genders. They've got a contact number as well. You can check them out. They're also available to take calls 24/7. The Kids Helpline, you may know, is a service of Boys Town. There is an interrelated connection there. They also have some chats and forums for schools. So there's actually a schools Kids Helpline forum. So if something is happening, or if you want downloadable resources, they actually have classroom resources and a free book online as well for some learning sessions. You can get qualified with them as well. They also help students and families that are going through disclosures and abuse with mental health issues and wellbeing. So great resource, a great organisation to connect in with, and check out what they've got online available. Talking about feelings and emotions can be done in various different ways. Obviously, flashcards, you could do this through, puppet stories, even just drawings. So depending on what activity you're going to do, you can even make these resources as early as tomorrow. So start doing this stuff tomorrow. You don't need to go out and buy a crazy amount of books and go to the library and the bookstore and get these resources purchased and delivered to your service. From tomorrow, you can step into your service and you can start talking about this through either made resources, through conversations, and things that you already have at your fingertips. So talking a lot about feelings and emotions, which comes out of other storybooks anyway. A lot of things that you're actually doing with children talks about feelings and emotions. So just remember that you can tie it back to personal safety and consent, and that feeling of when you're not feeling okay. And when you're not feeling okay, I think it's prior to that is getting in early with having the safety networks set up for children. So I think it's very important to set this as an example. There's so many different ways it can be done. You can do this through craft, through drawing their hands, but either a safety circle or a network. A network of 5 people is a great number to get started with. Talk to the children about who is in their safety network. Who are the 5 trusted adults that they would go to? It could be a doctor, it could be a teacher, it could be grandma, it could be auntie, it might be older siblings. So, pardon me, these safety networks are a trusted group of 5 adults chosen by the child. So this is an activity that you can do. You can write on a paper, trace out their hand, and there's so many different ways to do it. You can put photos, they can draw, you can write names of who people are, and it's even good for you to demonstrate to the children who would you talk to, and then get those conversations flowing with their peers as well. So the image that you can see here is just a really quick poster that I put together. You can do this too. So just on Canva or on Word, just put together some imagery, a photo. It's a poster that's been put together. It's got some words, names. You could put photos of a mum, a dad, a nan, an auntie, older sibling. Sorry. So there you have a photograph of a child in a setting calling for help. Okay, there's so many ways to put this messaging out and having it as a constant reminder for children. So that poster took a couple of minutes to do. And I'm sure you're a lot more creative than what I am. So you can do that with the children's artwork as well. Here's some more examples of ways that you can do your high five. You can put key messaging in your high five hands. The one down the bottom is obviously done, with some older children because it's their handwriting. But, you could do hand paintings and then decorate them. They could turn the fingers into heads, faces, and then draw hair for mum, dad, whoever they want to put. So that's just some ideas. And again, to the left there, you've got Kids Helpline. They have their own template, so you can just literally download it. And they call it Who is on Your Helping Hand Network. So what we want to do is have key safety messages for children. And those key safety messages that's just a quick brain dump of what I actually put together for this presentation. You can see the words there in blue and bold, the words that stand out. But pop in the comments what your key safety messages are that you would encourage and promote with children within your service. And again, this is just very easy. Once you have your key safety messages, you then create it as your family daycare services mantra. You might only have one or two. You might call them some classroom rules, or you might have it as part of your good morning activity every morning. And it's something that's embedded with the children every single day. It might be the way that you reinforce or you redirect, a particular scenario with the children when they're interacting. But the things that we really want to get out and the messaging that we really want to be strong is that children, every child, has the right to feel safe all of the time. They might do that by saying, go away, I don't like it, or stop, it's my body. There's so many different messages in so many different ways, but every child has the right to feel safe all the time, and nothing is so awful that we can't talk about it. So a couple of those, for those of you who know Bravehearts, I'm a Bravehearts ambassador. So they have come from either Bravehearts or way back when I did protective behaviours consultancy training. They're key messages that have stuck with me from, 20, 30 years ago. And it's something that you'll always embed and instill in the services that you're in. Once it becomes natural and you just constantly are reiterating this to the children and it becomes part of your services mantra, just keep it going. Talk to your families about it. Let them know what key messaging that you have for your children. It's to protect them. It's to make them feel safe. It's to let them go transition into big schools. So most schools have messages like this, and they're also adapting and adopting these behaviors and key safety messages in their schools because they want the same messaging for the children's protective personal safety. So it's happening everywhere, and it starts with us. So while I have a little bit of a drink, I'm going to play a video for the interview that took place prior to tonight's session. And I want to say a very special thank you to Sarah Gardner for her time. She was a wonderful family daycare educator, and it was very apparent throughout this video, which you will see, that she actually embeds personal safety and consent in her everyday practice. And I will play that for you now. All right. Hi, good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Just talking about all things consent and personal safety in family daycare. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for joining me today. Okay, so we'll start off by asking, how do you promote safety and consent in your family daycare?
Yeah, so in my family daycare, safety and consent are embedded in our everyday routines and interactions. I use clear, age appropriate language to explain rules and boundaries and choices, and I model respectful behaviour in all my interactions. I'm also encouraging children to use their voices a lot in terms of space and allowing their friends to know that you are in my space, and that's okay. Allowing them to have that autonomy over that. Safety is not just about a physical space for me, it's also about emotional safety. So I create an environment where children feel secure, listened to, and valued.
Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Can you give me some examples of what you do in the day?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a lot of stories that we read. This one, for example, is one of our favorites, and they've also got another one which is Boss of Boss of Your Own Body.
Yeah.
It also comes with a song, so we will do a group time together, and we will kind of go over, that it's important that we can use our words to say stop, I don't like that, read stories. And yeah, other great songs like the Boundaries song, which my group of children absolutely love.
Oh, that's fantastic. Very good. So that's bringing me to my next question. So, do you have the resources to use within the family daycare, and do you know where to go and navigate to get more of those and access those?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's so many fabulous resources out there now. I'm finding that a lot of books that I buy, from Amazon or Kmart and things like that, are a lot of books about consent. There's so many out there. But yeah, I also use like visuals and things like that.
And the resources aren't they're not too expensive. So,
They're really not, no.
and like you
Actually,
said, they're reusable and you can use them in your everyday. It's stuff that you're
absolutely.
already doing.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, great. And how confident are you if you had to report or investigate a personal safety issue or a breach of conduct?
Yeah, I feel very confident in my ability to recognize and report and document where needed. I have done my child protection course and training and familiar with specific reporting processes. Um,
Great.
yeah,
And look, I think there's going to be a bit more coming from ASEQA with some changes.
I think so,
Um,
yes.
so big focus on child safety. It's out there. So that's fabulous. And how do you actively get children to collaborate to the program? When you say you do these activities and their songs, how are the children's voices heard through your programming?
Yeah, so we've got a day book that we do. We fill out every afternoon when we have our afternoon tea, and we sit down and we go over the day and things that we've done and ways that we can move forward and extend our learning. So yeah, a lot of language development. My
Mhm.
group of children are kind of in that just 2 to 3 back bracket. So really trying to encourage them to stand up for themselves and things like that. So a lot of language development around using words and encouraging them to say stop, I don't like that, or you're in my space. So yeah.
Oh, great. And how often would you say that you intentionally discuss, feelings, safety, body boundaries? So, like I was saying, and you've given examples, it's something that you're already doing anyway. So
Absolutely.
it comes quite naturally. It's embedded in your in your daily routine. I would assume this is something that you're doing every day, but how impromptu is it, or is it actually planned? Is it just quite organic in how it comes about?
I think it is quite organic. I think it does. There is intentional teaching around it as well. I think when issues arise, we definitely sit down and we'll pull out any of the resources we have and just remind children, about boundaries and consent, and it's okay to ask people to stop. But these conversations are woven into our daily routines, whether it's a group time, conflict
Right.
resolution, or moments of play. But yeah, I think it is. It's just one of those things that naturally happens every day. I feel like we're always having those conversations, when children are playing and, trying to share toys and just it's not your turn yet. You need to wait. So I feel
Yeah.
like it is naturally embedded every
Yeah.
day.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. So, it's giving the children the opportunity to respect each other's feelings, but also speak up about their own feelings. So,
Absolutely.
let's talk about some examples of children not giving consent. So whether it be, can I play with you? Another child asking, can I play with you? Or you asking, can I change a nappy now?
Yeah.
Where would you like to sit? And things like that. What would refusal look like to you, verbal and non-verbal?
I mean, refusal, for example, at afternoon tea time, I'll ask everyone, come on, let's find our seats, let's all get our drink bottles and sit down for afternoon tea. And there are often times that the children are not ready for morning tea or afternoon tea or any of those meal times. So generally, them not wanting to come to the table will just be that they're playing with an activity. And that's when I would just use words like, maybe in 5 minutes you'd like to come and join us. That's not a problem at all, when you're ready. So,
But it's
yeah,
respecting them that they haven't given consent that they want to eat right
absolutely.
now, or that yeah. So that's perfect. So, no, that's a really good example. And as they're becoming more vocal with this age, it's hand gestures. For younger children, no, or the look on their face that they want to be disengaged or they're not interested in participating. But as you've got 2 to 3 year olds, you'll be getting the stop, no, go away, I don't like it. So that's been quite vocal and quite direct that that's not what
Absolutely.
they're wanting to do right now. And that's okay. And we need to respect that. I know that sometimes we have routines and we want to be able to, get on
Yeah,
with the day and fit everything in. It'll be nice if everyone done everything at the same time, but it's respecting them, their boundaries, and what their needs and wants are at that time. So that's fantastic.
absolutely.
Mm. And can you tell me a little bit more about some other resources or games that you might play with children? Like you mentioned some visuals. What might you do with those? Are they flashcards?
They are. There's just some visuals that I've managed to download, and they're basically pictures. They'll have pictures of interactions, and I'll hold it up in a group time, and I'll go, it might be an expression on a face, and we'll talk about how that person might look, and do we think that person looks happy in that play? And it might be a picture of a child snatching a toy off somebody else, and we'll discuss about what we see in the image. Of course, the language is still developing, so very, very simple discussions, but I think visuals are a fabulous tool to help children engage and connect and relate, and yeah, definitely transfer that knowledge from one setting to another, and maybe they'll put that into practice when they're next going into a social interaction with a child around play.
Yeah, great. Fabulous. Okay. And there's other times throughout the day as well, like, getting them to wear their hats to go outside. So there's lots of other ways that we're teaching safety to children.
Yes,
Personal safety is something, to do with their bodies, but, there's sun safety, there's road safety. So there's so many other forms, food safety that we're teaching them throughout the day, but it's making them aware of personal safety is about you, it's about your body, and it's about
absolutely.
your right to say no. And so I think that's very powerful what you're doing. I think you're doing some fabulous stuff,
Thank you.
and just continue doing what you're doing because this is about making the difference and
Absolutely.
empowering children to have the right to feel confident and empowered about their own bodies
Yeah.
and knowing that they've got people that they can go to and things like that. So that's what there's going to be a big emphasis on as well with the training. So that's fabulous.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're so
Do you have
welcome.
any other questions for me this morning?
No, I am all good, my end.
Okay, great. Well, looking forward to having you as
Thank
part of the
you.
training.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
You too.
All
Bye.
right, bye. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed that video. It was fantastic to actually have a chat with Sarah that morning, and I just found that everything she said was everything that she's already doing, which most of you are probably already having these conversations and doing what you need to do with the children as well. So we'll just jump into some other things that give you a little bit more information. You're probably thinking, oh, consent and body safety, how do I do that with children when they're so young? What if you've got 0 to 2 years? So just remember, it's never too early to begin the conversations. Okay, so it can start from birth. Okay, it's using the correct body parts when you're talking to children. It's narrating your actions, talking to them about being what you're doing. So I'm going to be changing a nappy now. I'm going to put on your socks so your feet can stay warm. So you're relating what you're doing, how the child's body, how you're going to touch, move, play, interact with them, validate their emotions. So if you can see that a child is sad, you need to say to them, I can see that you're sad, and would you like to tell me why? Would you like a cuddle? Revalidating their emotions so that they know that they can have emotion, that they can react and feel the way that they need to feel. Observe and respond to body language. If they show discomfort, stop. If you're going to help a child and they don't want you to touch them or to hold them and they're pulling away, then that's your cue to back off. Okay, unless of course it's to protect them from physically being hurt. But this is something that we need to look at, particularly with babies and their body language. Okay, you're not going to not dress a child and put their pants on after a nappy if it's freezing cold. But if it's not and they're kicking their legs and they seem quite happy otherwise, it's okay. Always ask for consent before touching or examining a child's body. I'm sure none of you do it, but it's if you want to check if a child's gone to the toilet, you're not going to just while they're playing pull out their nappy and have a look inside. There's other ways to be doing things. There's, asking the child, come on, let's go take your nappy. Let's go check. Do you need to go to the toilet? Can I help you go to the toilet? Can I help you wash your hands? So talking to the children to be able to just do what you do. It's what you're already doing, but just verbalize and vocalize what you're doing with them at any particular time that relates to their body. That's giving them consent and making them aware that you're about to do something with them or with their body and why. And we can obviously do a certain degree with health professionals, making sure that parents obviously act in the best interests of children with seeking medical support, and but we can't actually tell doctors what they can or can't do. So yeah, so and this is really important as well, not just 0 to 2-year-olds, but it's also important to know that even nonverbal children benefit from respectful communication about their bodies in the same way that you would refer to a 0 to 2-year-old child. They're not able to communicate, so we would do gestures and actions and nonverbal cues for children with additional needs or children that are nonverbal or culturally linguistic diverse backgrounds as well that we're unable to communicate with. So other ways of consent and body safety conversations, how they might trigger or what they might look like for children aged 2 to 3-year-olds. Gets that really interesting stage. So where they're starting to be a little bit more into their bodies, into their friends, into play spaces with other children. So we're trying to teach them now about body boundaries. So the key messages for educators here is to introduce the idea of body boundaries. So having body boundaries, having an invisible space around our bodies and teaching children that this is my space. And while the video was on just before with Sarah showing the interview, I was reading through all your comments and the key safety messages that you're already doing in your services, and they were fantastic to read, and it was really reassuring and refreshing to read some of them. And I saw some that it's my body, it's my rules. So these are the sort of key messages that set body boundaries for children as young as 2 years. So it's that invisible space, but it's also what we can vocal or get them to vocalize, and speak up to other children and say, stop, I don't like it. And, hands are not for hitting, whatever the rules and messages are about them and their body and their space, that protect them and make them feel safe, is what we're talking about here to implement body boundaries. And teaching everyone that they must ask for permission to enter somebody else's body space. So, like we're giving examples here of what you would do with children, teach the children to do the same when they're playing with their peers. So, in the kitchen. So, if they're playing in home corner and they want to take something and they're coming close to somebody else, or they want to give them, hugs or greetings, or just stopping and reminding them, it's that conversation around, we're going into somebody else's body space now. We might ask them, would you like a hug or would you like a cuddle? So getting them to talk about this sort of stuff and supporting children to say no to hugs and kisses. It's okay. It's okay for them to not have hugs and kisses from people that are not familiar to them, and even people that are familiar to them. And that is okay. Some people, it's within their comfort zone and their own personal space. And we as adults even know that sometimes too close is a little bit too close. So we need to respect that same regard with children and allow them that opportunity to either verbally or non-verbally voice their views to keep their bodies safe and have that body boundary for themselves too, as we would as adults. So stop games or interactions immediately when a child says stop. So if you're playing something and a child doesn't like it, or they say stop, I don't like it, that needs to be respected, and that game or activity or interaction should be stopped, particularly if a child is playing with their peers and they're not liking the situation that it has escalated to, and they're saying stop, I don't like it, or I don't want to play with you. There's a reason or a message in there as to why they're saying that, and we need to respect it. And the behavior or the game or the intention or interaction shouldn't be forced upon the child if they're saying no, they don't want to engage in that opportunity or activity. So we need to respect that. Reinforce child choice and agency where it's safe and appropriate. And again, health professionals must also ask for consent. So that goes with anyone really that you have coming into your service. If you have, a community talk from a nurse, or you have steps coming to do screening with vision, dentists coming to talk to children, and you ask for a child volunteer to get up, and they should also be demonstrating that. And you should also ask them before you have someone coming in to talk to children that you would like them to ask for their consent. So it's one thing asking a child to get up and come to the front and use them as a live real model at the front of the group time, but also asking for consent. Is it okay if we look inside your mouth? Is it okay if we put the stethoscope around you and listen to your heartbeat? Okay. They're examples for 2 to 3-year-olds. And then going into your body and safety conversations for 3 to 6 and 6 and beyond. It's more about the empowerment through your education. So about consent and safety. So again, they should already know, because you've set those key foundations about body boundaries. So as the children are getting older, they're able to understand that little bit more. So reinforcing body boundaries and consent on a regular basis, consistently. Make it embedded into everything that you do. Use structured sessions that will teach what safe and unsafe touch looks like. Have these conversations with children. Talk about early warning signs and the role of the safety network, whether that be on a hand with 5 people. You can do 10 if you like, but starting out with 5 people, or drawing it as a circle, and inside my circle, that's my safety network, and these are the people in that. children at 3 to 6 might just say the people that live under their roof at home, and that's okay because that's their safe haven and that's their circle or their safety network with the people that they feel safe with. The difference between secrets and surprises. So talking to children about secrets. Should you have secrets? Should secrets be kept from mum and dad? No, they shouldn't. And how that's different to a surprise. I've got something for you. I'm going to show you, and it's going to be a surprise, like a present. That's two very different things. So we won't tell, it's a surprise. We're going to play, we're going to hide and then do it. That's, element of surprise. Again, it goes with the good and the bad feelings. So you've got feelings that you feel when secrets are being hidden. It's the fearful side of the internal feelings with the body, whereas surprises, it's an internal feeling as well. And there's feelings with that element of surprise, but it's more happy, content, excitement. So talking about what those two differences in feelings are, they're similar, but they are different, and why they're different. So what private parts are private? It's okay to talk about that. And if you are finding that the conversation is going into a place that is probably putting other children at risk or giving too much exposure, or something's being said that you're not feeling comfortable with having it as a group forum, there's a way that you can obviously close down or shut down the conversation and then re-engage at a later time when it's more of a one-on-one where you're protecting the interests of other children. So just be mindful of that. And these are not conversations that are very probing. And I've got some examples of some conversation starters and things like that, of how things can just naturally flow with open-ended questions without putting words into children's mouths or minds. What to do if someone touches them inappropriately or shows some unsafe images. So again, you could use flashcards, you can use digital media. There's so many resources and tools that you can use and talk about what is safe and what is unsafe. Okay. And there may already be conversations like this happening in homes right now. So it's something to be very mindful about with what we're currently going through in our sector and what's in the media and what is being portrayed at the moment with what's supposedly happening in every service when it's not. But we just need to know that these conversations are in the news, they're in the spotlight right now, and there are conversations happening amongst families and potentially in front of or with children. So if you're more comfortable, let your families know that, this is off the back of the PD in your pocket safety session that you've spoken about, and that these are the things that you're going to be talking to children about. And again, getting their consent to talk to children about these things and why we're doing it. It's to empower them, it's to protect them, and it's to make them feel safe. When you highlight those key reasons as to why we're doing this in our everyday intentional teaching with children, families will be okay with it. Okay. And teach children refusal skills and safety plans for really tricky situations. So what they should be doing, what they could be doing to alert and communicate to people that something happened, could have happened, might have happened. They didn't feel safe about it, but they're letting you know. Okay. What do they do? Who do they go to? And again, that's the importance of having their safety network of people around them. So just remember, the key message here from me to you is just know that it's never too early to begin the conversations, verbally or non-verbally, and showing what consent and safety looks like for children of all ages in your services. Okay. And just a key fact here is important note for all of you educators: most sexual abuse begins between the ages of 6 and 12. But early education is crucial because you want children to be empowered and have the knowledge. So should something happen at that later stage, you've equipped them with the skills, the life skills to be able to deal with that situation, to know that something's not feeling okay and what they can do about it. So this is a book that I actually recently wrote. It's just been launched and I had a book launch on the weekend, but it's available with other books that I'll show you at the end, where you can buy them. The difference with my book is I've worked in the space for over 30 years. So I know sometimes it can be tricky and not really knowing how to get started, or you might have, someone there for the day, or you might be in a rush, or you don't really know how to finish that story at the end of that book with what to or where to go next. Okay, so I've put together in the back of my book 2 pages, which I think are critical for parents and for children. So this book's also for at home as well as in centres and schools. A lot of schools have been buying it. But conversation starters that relate specifically to the book. So there's a storyline in there, but what to do after that, how to embed that comprehension of what just happened in that book. What was that story or the message that that book was trying to tell? And some of these things might, and you wouldn't have to do all of this in one go, obviously based on the ages of the children, the group of children that you have, how much time you have, where their attention is at. You might just go with one conversation starter each time you read the book. So, in the story, Kai had butterfly feelings in his tummy. What do you think that means? That might just be enough to have a little short conversation. There's enough there to keep going multiple times when you read the story. And then you can see up in the top right, there's some activity ideas there. So again, it's drawing a circle or tracing a hand of, who are the 5 safe people that you have. These people either come out of the book that you're reading, or the conversations that you're having with children, and then visualizing it by drawing the hand and then writing it because it's what they said. So it's validating their feelings of who they trust, who is their trusted network of people. Okay, so that's just highlighting not every book that you're going to read to children is going to have conversation starters or tips at the end or things to get started with, but you could relate these key questions with practically any book that you're reading. So you just contextualize it to the story or the flashcards or the puppetry, whatever sort of activity that you're doing with the children. You could relate these and just change them slightly. So the reason why we do that is just so you're not finishing the book, closing it. Yep, who liked that story? That was good. It's allowing opportunity to have further extension and comprehension to meet the desired outcomes of the lesson that you're trying to get to, that purpose of reading the story in the first place. This book is specifically designed for educators and caregivers, and as well as your parents in the home. So the open-ended questions do really help. So I think it's great. It's my first book and there's more to come. So consent and body safety activities. So I might have mentioned a couple of these, but there's so many, and you even only have to go onto YouTube and type in, safety school, personal safety strategies, the Daniel Morecambe Foundation. There's charades. There's a series of a play school episode, which is all about personal safety, and it's fantastic. So if you're not confident yourself in having these conversations, doing the activities, and how to present this whole topic with children, go and do your own research. Go online. There's plenty there for you to be able to get that confidence and watch other people do it. Talk amongst yourselves about some things here put in the chat there, some things that you do with children. So what are you doing in your service? Share your ideas now. These are just some of my ideas, but using a felt board and puppets to act out safe and unsafe scenarios, encouraging role play with dolls. I have some persona dolls. How do they look? Who are they? What sort of character are they? What's their personality? Are they nice? Are they caring? Do they respect boundaries? So you can do plays, you can do all sorts of things. Using the networking hand to identify some trusted adults, talking about safe and unsafe feelings, emotion cards, images. Incorporate, some of you might be doing news telling where they bring in something from home and they want to talk about it. Talk about what's their favorite color, what colors make them feel safe and what makes them feel not safe. Simple things like that. Again, it's bringing into their bodies. So think about your your senses. So you can talk about what's a safe sound and what's an unsafe sound. What's a safe color? What's an unsafe color? Some children might not like the color of black. Why? Ask the question, why? Is it you don't like black because why? Listen to what they say. Is it because it's dark at nighttime and they can't see when it's dark and black outside? It makes sense. Some might say red. They don't like red because it reminds them of when they fall over and hurt themselves and there's blood. But then others might love the color red. Why? Because it reminds them of love hearts and flowers, and it's a nice color. There's no right or wrong, but it's understanding what that child's inner feelings connect with. So, same with taste. What's a nice taste? What's a not so nice taste? Do they like sweet taste? Do they not like sour taste, unfamiliar taste? Something that just doesn't feel right is an unsafe taste. You're not going to go and eat something that you don't feel comfortable with, that you don't like. We don't do it. So why would we expect children to do it? So these are things to think about. Same with sound, the sense of sound. So what sounds are safe and what sounds are unsafe. You might get a child say, I don't like hearing mum and dad fight. I don't like yelling. I don't like when I hear screaming at home. I don't like when I hear, banging plates. I don't like when I hear the door slam. But what do you like? What do you like listening to? I like listening to mummy read me stories, or I might like to listen to my friends laughing. I love singing when I come to daycare. So these are the sorts of things that we need to make children aware of what's nice and what's not so nice in their bodies and around them. I won't read all the activities, but there's a whole heap there. And yeah, keep going with all of your suggestions and sharing. It's wonderful. I do believe Braveheart's Ditto shows, if you're familiar with them, are on hold, but their resources are all still available on their website to purchase. I think they're trying to build up their educators and educator base so they can get out to services a bit more. It's happening in some states, but not everywhere. So just be mindful of that. If a child was to disclose to you when you're talking about an activity, there's just a couple of things that you need to be aware of. So a disclosure of abuse can be the first and most important step in stopping that abuse from happening and protecting children from further harm. Okay. I've had it happen to me before, and how I responded way back then at such a young age, I was very proud of myself. And I think it taught me a lot. So it's just really careful. You need to listen carefully, obviously, to all that they say. You need to make eye contact with them. Don't panic and go into your natural mode of, oh, I need to write all this down. They're telling you something that's really important to them. You need to listen, write it down later, engage and connect. Okay. Then you need to affirm. So to affirm, you need to tell the child that you believe them. You need to tell the child that you believe them, and you need to thank them because they've just told you something that's so big, that's huge in their world. And that means that they must have you on their hand. They've trusted you as an adult. in their safety network or their safety team or circle, whatever you want to call it, that they've confided in you. Thank them for that. Because if they didn't feel safe and they didn't trust you, they wouldn't have told you. Reassure the child. So let the child know what has happened is not their fault. Okay, remind them of the key safety messages, that nothing is so awful that they can't talk about it. Okay, it's really important to, I think the important thing here is just be mindful that, yes, you want to assure them that they've done the right thing, but don't make any promises that you can't keep. Okay, you can't promise them that this is never going to happen again, because if it does, you've failed the child. Okay, just say all the right things, thank them for telling you. Okay, support them, tell them that they're not responsible for what's happened. Okay, and that it must have been really difficult for them to tell you. Protect them, let them know that you'll do everything in your power to help them. Okay, but don't make any promises that you can't keep. You need to document and write down. Okay, write down in the child's words as best as you can. Include the behaviors of anything that was said. And as I said previously, that may have hinted to any sign of abuse. So if something's happened, just note it all down. Check if it's applicable. Check what your organization's policies are, what the regulatory authorities are in regards to, the policies surrounding or unfolding any type of disclosures. And act and report. Report the disclosure to Child Protection Authority in your state or territory, ASIQA, police, and anyone else. And just to know again, that information on this, you can contact Braveheart specifically, and you can get information from them about disclosures. There's so many. There's Lifeline. There's so many. So you're an educator. You can confide in each other. Obviously, there's privacy and confidentiality, but Bravehearts will help you through this. And they're open Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 4:30. Bravehearts are amazing, if I do say so myself as an ambassador. They have an upcoming Bravehearts Day on the 12th of September, very fitting with talking about this topic today. So you can sign up for a free supporter pack. You can buy merchandise. And I do hope that everybody after today's session, if you haven't already, go check out Braveheart's website. Again, it will help to validate and support you as an educator in this topic and going forward in your services. Okay. Down the bottom there, that's a photo of Ditto in the Ditto show. If you've ever seen one in your lifetime, it's amazing. So we've got other types of ways to communicate this key safety messaging, and I guess your commitment to personal safety and consent. So you can do it in your service, you can do it on your online platform, you can communicate with families. So like I said before, why not make your own poster? Why not come up with your own safety rules or your own mantra, whether it's about my body or about our friends, how we interact? Here's a couple here. There's a My Body Safety Rules. So that's, it's got the link there as well where you can get that, and there's resources as well. So some of you may have already visited these websites. Talk about your early warning signs, your safety networks, and what that looks like. There is so much available to access and to participate in, like Bravehearts Day. There's Harmony Week. There's BU organization. Here's again a little snapshot. So please pop in the comments if you've seen any of these books. If you have any of these books, please recommend them to each other. If you've actually experienced any of them firsthand and you've got them, pretty much all of them can be purchased on Amazon, but you've got all of the links anyway. So there's just a few resources here with, you know, Michelle Derrig, Janine Saunders. Oh, there's so many. Brave Hearts, Elizabeth Cole, Kristy Pereira. There's the Early Childhood Australia shop that you can go to. There's Amazon, there's Dimmicks. There's so many good bookstores that you can get all this from. So yeah, just you have a little bit of a Google and you'll find that you'll be spending some money on books. But like I said, you don't need to wait until you've got the books and the books are in your service before you start talking to children about this stuff. It's just simple talking. Any story can be converted into talking about feelings and emotions practically. And there's a couple more on the next page. So lots of different illustrations, lots of different books for lots of different age groups. You know, and the key safety messages are right there. No means no. Some secrets should never be kept. Okay. And the early warning signs and the network and the responding to, understanding feelings, understanding their bodies, setting body boundaries, that is all about educating the children, empowering them, and teaching them resilience. So should something come up, they have the skills equipped to be able to deal with situations. So, and then the next slide I have here, some of the Brave Hearts resources, and they've come a really long way. So not only do they have the classroom kits for all different ages, they've got stickers, they've got posters, they've got books. I've got that series of 5 books with all the different adventures. They're fantastic, great illustrations. I love it. And then you've also got like now an app too. So an app that can be played on a TV or a smart board or iPad, whatever you have. But if you don't have technology in your service, share it with the families. Let the families know. These places also have resources for families, things that families can do at home with their children to, again, further extend on what you're doing in the service. So, and then you've got programming and planning and what that looks like. So by having these conversations with families and with children, it's actually just going to tie back into what you're already doing, and using the early years learning framework planning cycle basically. So it doesn't matter how you're planning and how you're programming. If you're doing it as per the early years learning framework, in line with ASEQA and the National Quality Framework and Quality Area 1, then children's interest is coming back in. You're observing, you're assessing, you're planning, you're implementing, you're evaluating, rinse, recycle, repeat. Okay, so you're already doing that. Again, that little poster there to the left is something that I just whipped together with a little bit more information on what you can talk about in terms of personal safety. So talking about the themes and how they engage, using visual tools, having the conversations about who keeps you safe. So they're just some little triggers that you might want to just pop in your program and planning to get you started if you're not quite sure how to word things. So you've got here observing and listening. So during play, identify personal safety themes and encourage that they encourage such as pretending to call for help. If you have the local fire brigade come out, you know, they'll talk to the children about what to do in case of an emergency when there's a fire. So again, going right back to the very first slide there where I had all the different types of safety, that was fire safety. You would get the fire brigade or you would show them a video and you would talk to them about, you know, how you manage a fire and or an emergency, we have to call 000. This is an emergency, a personal emergency, what you would do if you had unsafe people around you. So talk to them about what you would actually do. Play it out, role play it. What would it look like? And pretend you're going to call for help, or you're going to go and tell your mum, or you're going to talk to the teacher. So what are you actually going to do here? Give them that real life scenario of explaining and role playing what that might look like. And using visual tools. So create a safety wall. Why can't you have some information with their drawings and pictures? And you can simply just have a safe and an unsafe. Safe places to go, unsafe places to go. And again, you can tie it over with other types of safety. So it might be how you cross the road safely, and let them pick what they want to talk about from time to time. So if you have all these images of safe and unsafe, again, they're visuals, and they'll be able to look at it and talk about those conversations, and you can probe them from time to time. Conversations and group discussions. So during circle times or morning group times, ask the children who keeps you safe, and what do you do if you get lost? Use puppets, use dolls, talk about unsafe and safe touching and scenarios. When do you feel safe and when do you not feel safe? In regards to project work and investigations, look at developing a project on people who help us. Talk about who's in the community. Again, adding in the network people. So who helps you? The police help you. The firefighters help you. And let the children do some role play again in calling emergency numbers, and role play in how would they talk to a trusted adult. Show them that it's reassuring and not scary. Provide choices and autonomy. So offer options like making a safety poster or acting out a safe crossing game. So give them activities that they can do and have free choice. Feedback and loops, so you can actually review some photos at the end of the day. Talk about safety drills with the children. So that might happen if you have a fire drill. Talk to them about what did it look like? What happened? We thought we were in danger. We heard the smoke alarm, or we heard a whistle going off, and we were scared and we wanted to get out quickly. But what did that actually look like? Who was there to help you? And what did that look like to get to safety? Again, safe and unsafe. And it's a real life scenario they can relate to. With regards to family input, again, involve families, ask them to share the safety rules that they have at their home. What does that look like? How do they cross the road? How do they get out of the car to get into your service? Is there anything in particular that they have to do? And share those safety messages. Some families will have more than others, and what they do with their children and in their homes are different, but share and share alike. You might have a newsletter that you put out to families. Share it. Share what you've been talking to the children about, what the input has come in from other families as an opportunity to share that information and educate not just the children but also the families. And again, just document and reflect together. So show the children their safety storybooks and ask them if they want to add any stickers, drawings, and representing. If you create an area in your service, a wall, a small corner, something that is dedicated to safety, it just doesn't have to be personal safety, safety in general. What does safety look like? It's a good place to go. And BU. So BU is a program that maybe some of you are aware of, maybe some of you aren't aware of, but it's designed, it's free, and it's got evidence-informed tools and resources to support you as educators to create positive and inclusive and responsive learning communities from where a child or even a family might come to you, and they're troubled by some mental health. So this could be after the fact that someone's disclosed, been abused, something's come out. There's tools and resources to deal. Okay. Mental health and well-being is a very big thing, and we need to know how to support each other, other educators, people within your own communities. So pop in the chat there if you are registered as a BU service or BU organisation. If you are, maybe share what you're actually, what your experience has been like. Have you downloaded some resources, and have you done some of their training? Have you got a certificate? Have you clicked on some links? Have you got some other information that might benefit you or others? So there's a couple of links there as well, and they have something going on, Bullying No Way, in August as well. So this is all very fitting with the time that the Bullying No Way in August and the Bravehearts in September. So it's a great time to dip your toes in and investigate a little bit more, refresh your skills, resources, and collaboration with each other. I think it's a great time to get to know more about this topic. I'll move along quickly because I think I've got a few more slides to get through. So I hope you're getting a lot out of this evening, but we do have still time for questions and answers. So there's also some live webinars, refreshers for child protection refreshers, live webinars. And it talks about, I think you recently have done some training as well. So all of this sort of stuff that you can get your hands on or to register now. Peak Training, offers child protection refresher training with child protection information to refresh your knowledge and child protection legislation. It's important to gain clear understanding of your responsibilities as a mandatory reporter and reporting in New South Wales, including how to identify harm and risk factors and how to report, what the MRG looks like. This training is quite specific, so contact Peak Training if you would like to do some further training. They also offer fully accredited identify and report children and young people at risk course online and in person. So if you feel that you need to refresh your skills, although I think everyone was pretty confident with their reporting skills, but something that you should be doing all the time and constantly refresh. Been doing it myself for about 30 years and I won't stop. So keep that at the forefront of your minds. Always keep your training up to date. Okay, so now we'll go through a couple of questions that we've got scheduled for tonight. So I really hope everyone's got a lot out of this evening, and if there's something that you were a little bit less confident in, I hope now that you kind of go, it wasn't really that bad, it's not that hard, and I'm going to go tomorrow into my service and I'm going to implement some of this stuff and make a difference. So that would be amazing. Please put your comments in there if that you think that's you and you're going to go in tomorrow and make a big difference and start introducing all of this if you haven't already. Questions that we've got for you is, I think I already asked it, but are you registered as a BU organisation? So yes, no, you can put in your comments here, just in the chat. You can share and collaborate. So are you registered? And what has your experience been like? Share that with one another. And if you haven't, go online and check it out and register. It's all for free, and it's only knowledge that's going to empower you to have the confidence to be able to keep on supporting people and young children. Do you know where you could go to get information for resources on personal safety? So again, reach out to one another here now. Pop in the chat if there's other places that I haven't mentioned, which there are. If there's somewhere specifically that you've gone to for information on personal safety or resources that you've got from somewhere, please pop it in there for people to note down, and then they can go and check it out as well after. Don't forget, you do have the workbook for the PD in your pocket, and you will have a heap of links to be able to go on and continue looking into this topic in greater detail after tonight's session. So my third question for you is, are you confident in not only reporting any alleged child protection issues that may arise, but also responding to a disclosure? They're two very different things. Have a think about that for a minute. You may have encountered something before, and hopefully you haven't. But if you do, how do you think you will respond to that? So remember the child and everything that I shared with you on that previous slide about a disclosure, if something was to come out, your demeanor and how you interact with the child at that time is crucial. So you are the first responder. Okay. Your body language, your tone, your responses to children at that time is critical. Okay, for that particular disclosure and for other events that may happen in that child's life after that fact and later down the track. So you need to make sure that they've had a pleasant experience in confiding in you, in trusting you, and sharing that with you so that they feel that they can do that again. Okay. Key messaging is very important. Body language is super important. So I'll let you keep going there in the chat with some of those questions, sharing information as I bump on to the next slide here. So there's just some emergency contacts that are very handy and useful to have in those disclosure moments, and knowing exactly what you need to do and how you can reach out to somebody for help. So remember the 24/7 hotline at Kids Helpline. You've got access to a web chat, which is online there for counselling support. You just need to go online and you'll have someone there available to talk to you. And there's more that we can offer. Child Safe Human Rights is a website. And it's also in your workbook, you have some more information as well. You've got Headspace, Lifeline, Brave Hearts. So don't ever feel that you're alone if you are dealing with an encounter of disclosure. Okay, there's always somebody that you can reach out to. You're never alone. Okay, and then there's obviously emergency services. Pick up the phone and you can contact the department, you can contact the police, you can contact the Office of Guardian. So there's people that you can talk to in this regard. And I would just like to thank everybody for joining tonight. I had a whopping number. At one point, there was 1,170 participants online, and wow. Thank you for seeing this as such a serious and an interesting topic to want to know more about. It was my pleasure to present this to you this evening and provide the information to you in the workbook. So I appreciate you participating in this PD in Your Pocket. There's also a Facebook group. So if you haven't already joined, please open your Facebook straight after this and type in PD in Your Pocket and stay in touch, stay connected, stay supported, and keep on refreshing your skills and practice this topic every day in your services. And thank you everybody for participating and watching and listening into this session. I really appreciate it. Have a lovely night. Thank you.